Winterland, tell me all your secrets. Fill me in on your wildest moments. Colored trees, your yellow leaves move me. Dancing roofs, your painted red shakes the room. When I get there, I'll let my feet roll. When I get there, I'll break in your arms, I'll lose control. When I get there, I'll know the answer. Let me know when I get closer.
Hello everybody, happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. This is the live stream, which we used to do every week, but now we do it every, once in a while. It's been about a good 3 weeks before we did it, but since we've done it, I thought about doing it last week from a week ago I was in Croatia. I was in Croatia for 9 days, did a few videos from out there, and I was working from out there, which was a lot of fun. And I thought about doing the live stream from out there, but then it's the unreliable internet connections. I mean, I had a co-working space for, which had a really fast internet connection. But then I thought, it was just sort of a thing where, we just been missing it. So I missed you guys, and I'm glad everyone who has actually showed up today. And it might be a really short one. Maybe nobody shows up anymore. At some point, you guys are all going to turn your backs on me and going, Eric, you become so inconsistent that we're just, we just can't handle it anymore. We just can't handle the lack of attention. And I get it. So anyway, I apologize. Since the last time I talked to you guys, what's happened since the last time? Loads has happened since the last time I saw you guys. Let's see. That trip to Croatia, me trying my first attempt at being a digital nomad. I just, thinking, could I do this full time? Could I be like, get like a much smaller apartment, just go out and do Airbnbs, different places here and there. It probably would work in the off-season months, because it was really nice in Split, Croatia last week. And even though I was sitting at a desk in an office working from 10 until 6:30, it was still like beautiful just to walk to the beach, go out and get some lunch at a sandwich cart outside, and just to be able to just enjoy the sunshine. And it was really, really just such a nice experience. So as somebody who grew up in San Diego, I miss those kind of days. What else has happened? Okay, so from the Overpass side of things, the last time I talked to you guys, I decided to cut down a little bit on expenses. It was, for the longest time we've had I've had the team. So I had a team working with me since I guess about 2014, and then I thought, and it was really tough because I thought, less client projects are coming in, and the client projects that were just, I would like to be able to blame the recession, but a lot of it is just thinking that the kind of projects that I want to take on, if it was nice for a while, just being able to have that kind of, first of all, let me know if you guys could hear me out there. Am I actually online? Let's see. Let me know if you guys can hear me. So it was like having those quality projects out there. They haven't really been coming in very much. So that's, today's my first solo day where I'm just all by myself. So, there's that. And then we've got all this stuff coming up. I've got so much to do. For those of you guys who have had apps on the Play Store for a while, we've got the Target API change coming up at the beginning of November, as well as using in-app purchase 4, which both of those things I need to do on the majority of my apps that are still live on Google Play. And it's like just something I have not gotten around to doing yet. It really kind of, there's so much to do. This the question I get asked a lot is, should you just have one app or just a few apps, or you should have loads of different apps? I started out going, I'm just gonna have loads of different apps. If money just trickles in, that makes total sense. And then it just, when we have these kind of big API changes or big requirement changes, it's just there's so much work to do. So I have to go through and update all those applications, which means I need to go through and do all the. I don't think from a lot of them I haven't even done all the data capture API stuff. And there's lots of questions that have come through, and I've just been like, if I don't touch them, then I don't need to worry about it. But now that we're gonna have to do these updates, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. So there's that. So with the in-app purchases and with the Target API level, which I think is like Target API 29. Which you can't even publish anything that's less than what is the requirement now? Is it 31 if you're going to publish something new? So the older stuff, I know my older stuff is a much lower Target API. The stuff I've done in Corona, I think the last time I've updated it was about 2 years ago. So that's something I need to do. And I've been struggling all last week. I've been dealing with iOS 16 issues. iOS 16 coming out was just a big pain for me because some of the stuff that was working on some of the client apps just stopped working or started crashing due to memory issues and stuff like that. And it was just trying to track down what that was and put out a fix and then put out another fix and then put out another fix. For these guys who've been developers, you know what that's like when you're like, okay, all right, I'm pretty sure we got this now. When you have an error that you can't quite reproduce yourself, and so you put like a fix out, and then you're like with the hopes that it will fix the issue, but then you find out, okay, that's fixed that issue, but further down the road we have another one. So sometimes you're in this place where you're just like, okay, keep getting more and more releases out, but everything's pretty much stable now. I haven't seen a crash report come through in about 3 days, which is pretty cool. So let's see who's here. We got Kevin. Kevin, hey, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Syed, hey, how's it going? Hey, Syed. Yes, cool, awesome. Let's see. Angelina says you're online. I can hear you. Awesome, good. Thank you very much, Angelina. And YA says, Eric, I have a question regarding taxes. How do we have to pay taxes in-app sales and AdMob earnings? Now, AdMob earnings, it depends on the country, I think. So in AdMob, over here in the UK, and there was just a budget announcement today. This is one of these things where I think for advertisements, because it's a content thing, I don't think you have to pay the tax on that, but for in-app purchases, you do. So a lot of it, when you think about the Google Play, and that's on the Google Play side. So you look at the differences between Apple and Google Play, so the App Store and Google Play. App Store, you don't really have any control over anything. You can't issue refunds. You can't, you don't see very much. All the data they give you is interesting from an analytic point of view, like where those downloads are coming from, but not necessarily the how much everybody's paying. On the Google Play side, you have that whole order history section or order management section where you can go through, you can issue refunds, you could print out receipts, all that kind of stuff. So with me, every quarter, I have to download those the financial reports in the CSV format and give them to my accountant. Now that's as far as I know because the accountant handles that all the time. And I remember when that came in, it was called VATMOS at first. Well, in the UK, it was called VATMOS, VAT Mini One Stop Shop it stood for. So they still do that, and they have to figure out what the VAT is for the different countries and everything like that. And they kind of moan about it, but that's why I have an accountant. On the Apple side, we don't really have to deal with that because Apple, you don't have that kind of stuff. Now this is my understanding at the moment, and I hesitate to say this because I'm not an accountant. I'm not legal in any sense of and I'm also probably I might be in a different country than you are, so there's different rules and stuff like that come into play. But that's how it works for me. So Kevin says I can hear you. Thanks, Kevin. Theo Taylor's in the house, but also listening in on a call. So I'll be here in silence. Should we try to distract him from the call? So he's in a call. So I don't know. Let's try to distract him. Let's make fart noises, and so they'll think it's him. Dylan says, "Hey Eric, it's nice working. Was it nice working at a co-working space, or is it working at home best?" Do you know what? I actually like working in a co-working space. I think, I think the newness of it, I think the Airbnb I had, and I wish I'd taken some video of it because it was a really nice place, but it was small, and the internet wasn't. It was okay, but it wasn't great. I mean, it's like, as developers, we need to have stable internet for sort of uploads and downloads. You can't. The amount of times I've worked with developers, like before the pandemic, we had developers who were not used to working from home, and they would have like the crappiest internet connections. Like the cheapest one they could get was like a 2 gigabyte per month limit on it, and it's just like, and you try to have the and sometimes it's because of their area, and sometimes it's just whatever, or they just work from their couch or whatever. And I was like, no, I gotta have the fastest internet, so I pay a lot for internet connection. So, but I can't expect an Airbnb to have like a developer quality internet connection, especially if you're doing YouTube videos too. You got to upload stuff, so that alone made it a lot easier. Also, at home, I got the desk set up exactly how I want. So I think, okay, so when I'm traveling, the co-working space was much better because Airbnb was like, it wasn't meant to be a part-time office. Like, so, but at home, like I've got the desk set up, I got the standing desk, I've got the multiple monitors, I've got I got everything set up exactly the way that I want it to. And I love it. And I think, and I thought about that. I thought about that because I enjoyed it so much in Croatia, working for the co-working space, that I thought, maybe I could find one near here. And then I thought, actually, every time I go, I don't know if it's just me, but like there's so much traffic out there these days with roadworks and everything, especially in my area. Like where I live, to me, to get out of this town, there's no way out of this town that doesn't lead to some sort of roadworks and backed up traffic. It's weird. It's like the Truman Show at the moment. So like, no matter which way I go, it's like I'm gonna have to stay at a temporary traffic light. So just that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, why would I want to commute if I don't have to? So, but it was kind of nice just to have other people around. I am not, so if I go out to a pub or something, I'll chat with people and everything like that, but I don't talk to people in offices unless I've been there a while. So like that co-working space, it wasn't like I'm going, hey, how's it going? What you working on? All that. No, it was like just kept to myself, whatever. And I'm the same at the gym. Like people say, like, yeah, maybe you meet people at the gym. I'm like, I don't talk to people at the gym. I'm just So yeah, but I don't know if that answers that question. I think traveling, it was really nice. So I did two things while I was traveling. Like after like a couple days, after like 3 or 4 days, I started to feel like just really lethargic because all I was doing was eating and working and all this stuff. So I actually joined like this gym. It was called Spartan Gym, right? And it was just like, they charged me like 17 pounds for the week. And it was like this, it was just the dingiest gym, like in this basement. And it was obviously not meant for tourists. Like a lot of the places I went were meant for tourists. And it was just this dingy little, but that, those dingy little gyms make you feel manly. Oh, yes. All this rusty old equipment and everything like that. But so that was, because I was there for 9 days, I started to feel like I lived there. That's what I wanted to feel. I didn't want to feel like, oh, I need to go see this. I need to go see this. I need to go see this. So like have days where I would just be like, go to work, get something to eat, go for a walk on the beach, go home, that kind of stuff. That was really nice. Dylan said, YA, Apple and AdMob are both already paying taxes. Yeah. It's so you don't have that kind of control over it, but Google Play is different. Syed says, I recently released an app in beta on Play Store, and I'm getting around 2 to 3 downloads daily. Is that a good sign? In beta, well, 2 to 3 downloads is not. To be totally honest with you, I don't very often use the beta on Google Play, and that's not because it's bad. It's just because I've gotten so used to using TestFairy. So like I use the beta testing for client projects, and I use something called TestFairy, which is it's a bit like TestFlight, but not as good. It's just like, and it was just kind of thing where like a lot of I just gotten so used to using it, but I think. Yeah, I think people find it while it's still in beta. That might be a good thing. But 2 to 3 downloads a day is not a whole lot. It depends on whether or not it's showing up in search and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, are we talking about are you talking about the closed beta, or are you talking about the open beta? Are you talking about the what is it, the alpha release or the beta release? Because the beta release is the one that's public, right? And the alpha release is the one that's closed. And again, that's me, like my whole thing with the Google Play like beta testing is like I go through another route. And sometimes I was using App Center for some Xamarin stuff, but I just found it easier just to go through TestFairy, because and one of the reasons when they've had the closed beta testing like for a while on Google Play, but then you have to find out everyone's Google Play accounts. You got to make sure all this stuff, and it used to be like open beta. Yeah, so I suppose that's pretty good. So Infobroker says, Eric, how have your Play Store apps been performing lately? Let's have a look. Let's see. I have to go through and filter out the client stuff here. So it's been really slow because a lot of my big apps are no longer on there. I keep getting Google Play removing stuff for certain reasons. If I look at like my order management page, I can see that I've had, it's been about a week since I've had any purchases at all. But it was pretty consistent. The 10th, 11th, 9th, all of a sudden, like, so I was getting like daily purchases. Let me see. I'm gonna try to do here. Let me see if I can get this to work. I'm gonna try to show you this and then cover the transaction numbers, because I don't know if the transaction numbers are something I'm allowed to show you. Let's go. How do I do this? I'm gonna go this, hide this. Just give me a moment. Ugh. Let's see. Open Sublime Text. See, I haven't not used Windows in almost 10 years, and I still look for Notepad. That's ridiculous. Let's see. There we go. There we go. Oh, there we see. Haha. This is me getting clever here. All right, let's go. I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. So this is, let's see if you guys can see this. Maybe make this a bit bigger. And of course, go back and get that Sublime Text thing. That's not going to work. Okay, pretend you can't see those transaction numbers. Sublime Text, there we go. All right, so I'm covering the transaction numbers, although I don't think it is. So you can see, like, up until, these are my purchases on Google Play. It's not a lot. I had one payment declined. So I've got this stuff coming through, and it was going pretty consistent. Well, no, it wasn't. I got big gaps, but like for a week there, I was getting consistent ones, and I haven't had anything since. So that's kind of what it's like there. On the download side and on the ad mob stuff, I'll tell you what that is, but I can't show you because it's that's against the terms and conditions to show you like all the stats and stuff like that. Years ago, I did a video where I'm just going to show you all my ad mob stuff. But so like yesterday, I made £19.38. Today so far, it's been £11.50. This month so far, about halfway through, £343. So it's still like, you know. And some of those aren't apps that I need to update, which are kind of like, which are going to be a bit of an issue. And thanks everybody for a thumbs up, by the way. I just saw those. Fist007 is here. I saw that you had a really nice time there. It was really nice. It was. Oh wait. Go back up. What's up, Eric? Hey, how's it going? How was Split? It was really, really nice. It was beautiful. Let's see. I see you saw a really good time there. It was really beautiful. So, what are some initial signs that we release? What are some initial good signs when we release an app? I think it's the reviews. I mean, because at some point you talk about the different ways that people are gonna like find your application. So if we look at it as like a funnel, like we talk about the A, B's, and C's. That first of all, people have to find your app to download it, and that could be that you're really good with search terms, or they're already looking for something, and for some reason you're ranking really well for it, or it could be that you use advertising, or it could be like word of mouth or whatever like that. So that's the first stage. Like if they don't know it exists, it doesn't matter. if you get those, and this is where that the client acquisition report comes in, being able to actually see, or the conversion analysis, I think it's called now, but like to be able to see like how often your app actually shows up in search, or how often it's actually getting that impression. So if they're not actually seeing the product page, then you know that either your title or your icon is not really measuring up. So so that's the first stage, is just getting to the product page, right? So that could be through search results, or it could be through advertising. So you're basically, what it is you got all these people up here to find this one little product page, which is where you have all your screenshots and everything like that. Now, if they're viewing that, and the conversion of that, for me, it's always been about 25% on most of my apps. So like if they're actually going there and not actually making that download, then you have to start looking at your screenshots. And and also, if we go back to the first stage, actually finding it, they could either find it through search or advertising, whatever, but also thinking about if they're searching in their own local languages. This is why localizing it to different stuff. Yes, getting the screenshots in different languages, getting the description in different languages is important, right? Because people, they'll be searching it in whatever language, and while you might not get really good search results for the keyword you want to in English, you might do it in another language or whatever. So then when they actually get to that product page, if they're not actually downloading it, then you have to start thinking about your screenshots and everything like that. And then if they are downloading it and they're not staying with it, or they're not making any purchases, only then is the quality of your app being called into question. I see a lot of people who do this, that they're not getting the downloads they want, and so they start thinking, maybe I should change the design or whatever. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense, because they haven't even made it to that stage yet, right? You're like, it's the equivalent of if you have a restaurant on the outside of town and nobody's driving out there, changing the color of the tablecloths is not going to make a difference. It's unless it's the word of mouth. So like if it's the reviews and people are actually using it and leaving bad reviews, then you got to fix that right away. So you got to think about where you are in that. So that 2 to 3 downloads a day is not bad if they just happen to be finding it, but look at it in terms of when they're in it. So that's stage 1. That's the A. Finding your application. They're finding it and they're downloading it. So I would look at how many people are actually finding it in search versus how many people are actually downloading it. If you say it's 2 to 3 a day, but if like hundreds of people are actually seeing it in the search results, then maybe that's not so good. And then the next thing is, once they're downloading it, how can you get them to leave a review? And that that's not always so easy, but you hope that they will. And then when they do leave a review, if it's a complaint, you have to respond to that complaint. Even if it's a good one, respond to the review. Just say, just say thank you very much. We're always working on all this kind of stuff. Never defend yourself in a reply to a review. Like I've seen this before. People go, well, some people really like this feature, so whatever. You're like, dude, you never make them wrong. You never make your users wrong. There's like, if you read Grant Cardone's book, Sell or Be Sold, he talks about you never make the prospect wrong. And I think the same thing with your user. You never make your user wrong. The fact that they've taken the time to give you some feedback, even if it's negative feedback, is like, hey, they didn't have to do that at all. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We've got another version coming out. I hope to get this rating back up to a 5. Let's see. So, also, how's your AdMob earnings been recently? Yeah, like I said, it was like 20 pounds yesterday. I can tell you, let me see if I tell you about because it's not like, I can't tell you my ECPM, but yesterday we had, in the last 7 days, 35,000 requests. My match rate's about 88%. So, yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it's not great, but I need to get on it. I've been doing so much with stuff. Fist 007, are you back to Windows? Nope, I'm not. No, I am like, I think, when I switched from Windows to Mac, it was difficult because I nearly sent this thing back. I was like, first of all, I hated the smugness of Mac users. I'm a Mac user now, so a lot of you guys are Mac users, so I hope you won't mind me saying this, but man, if I had to listen to some guy in designer glasses and tell me about how it just works and like like just and how I was just like Windows worked really well. But when Windows 8 came out, that was when I switched over. I was like, I hated Windows 8. Windows 8 was such a bad experience. Windows 10 is a lot nicer, and I have not used Windows 11, but I do use Windows and on Parallels on a Mac because I do have a client application that they require. They wanted a Windows version of one of the apps that I've done for them, and so I needed to be able to test that on a virtual machine. So that was kind of like being able to do that, doing a UWP app through Xamarin, and that's pretty good. Parallels is pretty good on a Mac because one of the big problems I had switching over was getting the control and the command buttons switched around. So Control C, Control V. That was my life. And then then it became Command C, Command V, and it was and it took a while to get used to that. It's like just this thing that's just in your brain, and so if I switched back, it might be a bit difficult, I think. So Dylan says, Eric, that's kind of what I'm struggling with. I'd like to work with people around, but most places around here are for connecting with freelancers. But the library is pretty nice though. Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, it's I think for me the co-working space was like a lot of people were having their meetings or whatever, and wherever there's social media people or whatever. I'm assuming I don't know what anybody else did. I did see a few people that looked like developers, and the place that I was, they had like that external monitor and everything like that. And I think I did like being around people. There are days when I'm working here where I'm just like, I get up from my desk, I'm just moping around the flat a little bit. I'm just like, I'll go to like the grocery store across the street just for fun, just to like, for variety, But I used to do that in an office too. Like I used to do that, like just walk around the building, it was, so yeah, I mean, it is difficult. I've tried to do the working in coffee shop thing, but I kind of feel like in my mind I'm thinking, at what point am I just loitering? Like at what point am I just like hanging around a coffee shop when I stop drinking coffee, or do I just keep drinking coffee and then I just come home buzzing like, ooh. So, but I know some people love working in coffee shops, but as developers, if we get stuck on something, we might be, we're like just, we could be there, sitting for 5 hours straight when you realize you're dying to go to the bathroom, but let me just try this one more time. Let me just change this one variable. Let's just move this a few pixels over, and I think I'll get it. And then, if you stop, it takes a while to get back into it. But let's see. Fist up said, I love Windows and I really hate Mac OS. All right, Jesus. See, I think to say I love Windows. See, it used to be that back, Windows was the dominant one, and there was the Mac users who were like the, now everyone's on a Mac, or so many people are on a Mac now. To say like back then, to say you love Windows was like saying you love the Yankees. It's like, dude, they don't need any more love. But I don't know. Chris Bala, hey Chris, how's it going? Sorry, late to the party. Welcome back for a question. Thanks, it was really, really nice. I think I still got a little bit of a tan, but that's gonna go soon. Let's see. Fist07 says, I'm working on a client project right now and listening to you. Oh my God, I'm gonna try to throw you off this here code, like X, I'm a semicolon, X, curly bracket. It has nothing to do with mobile apps. It's a pipe drive to an invoicing software glue connector. Oh, boring but also challenging. Well, sometimes that stuff is really good. It doesn't always have to be mobile apps. Sometimes it's getting those development environments set up. Tell me, Eric, have you ever built a POS app for a client, like a touch register for restaurants or grocery stores, what have you? A point of sale app. No, I don't think I have. No, I've looked at doing it. I think I did a proposal for one, doing like using the Android kiosk build and everything like that. So when you do an Android in kiosk mode, and you can actually have it so they can't go to the home screen, everything like that. But no, I never have. I have done something for salespeople where they sign the signature and everything like that. It was actually an app that an existing developer, like a previous developer, had done, and they come to me to make some changes to it, and it was not the best experience, but no, I've never done anything for like a restaurant or anything like that. Merrick says, "Hi, should I use different AdMob app ID for Android and iOS, or it doesn't matter?" I think you have to. Yeah, you pretty much, you should use different. I mean, you have different. Yeah, because it's. Yeah, you have to use different ones for different platforms. Yeah, definitely, because when you think about it, it's going to be serving up those ads based on the platform that you're on. So for me, when I mean, it's been a while since I've set up a new AdMob app, but it's been a couple of years. But like I had to specify whether it's iOS or Android. See, so Windows 8 when Windows 8 came out, I went back to Windows 7. I know a lot of people did. Talk about a big Windows fan. See, the thing I hated about Windows 8, and this is years ago. I had so many times I've been working in contracting, and we'd have like a web design or whatever, and we'd have somebody come, like a project manager, come through, and it wasn't like a GUI specialist. It wasn't anything like that. It was just somebody who was like, yeah, so the project manager would come, you know what? This button looks different than this button. I think these buttons should be consistent. And you're like, well, it's called Fitts law. It's basically what we help the user. So what we want them to do is hit save. We don't necessarily want them to hit cancel. So we don't want it to be like of equal importance. They go, yeah, but it's not consistent. And it was just like this. Consistency was they come in and they say, yes, I'm this big project manager, and the only word they could say was consistent. It's not consistent, as if you're like, oh, I'm just a moron who made all these different buttons of different sizes and different shapes and everything like that, and different colors, because I don't know what consistency means. But they go, no, we need to have these buttons consistent. I'm like, okay, so you realize that this one over here is settings, right? So we only use settings maybe 5% of the time on the initial setup. So you want this to be the same one as save and whatever. Like, yes, it should be consistent. Consistency, as Ralph Waldo Emerson says, is the hobgoblin of little minds. And when I saw Windows 8 come out, it was like, this should look the same as the phone interface. Like that, you should be able to look at the phone and the PC and not even be able to tell the difference. You're like, you are an idiot. And that's when I really got mad about with Windows 8. Let's see, I've been working from home for 4 months now, and I really enjoy it. I only get out to go to the bank, but you go out more often. Like you should. Like that's the thing. You should get out once in a while. Like I like to go for a run. Going to the gym. I mostly get out at night where there's no one out there and it's very quiet. See, let's see. So I've got when the lockdown happened, I bought all these weights over here. I've got like this power tower, like we do dips and pull-ups. I need to put this thing on eBay. I've been meaning to do this for ages because I thought I'm never going to the gym again. This is it. I got everything here I need. During lockdown, I was like, I'm going to save so much on gym memberships. And when the gyms opened back up again, I was like, I just need to be around people. I need some sort of social interaction. Even though I don't talk to anybody, I just like being around people, which is kind of like the coffee shop thing or the co-working space thing that we're talking about. Let's see. I don't hate macOS, Eric. You read it wrong. What did you say? What did you say? All right. Let's see. We have the court reporter repeat back. Could you repeat back what he said, please? Let's see. Oh, I see. I love Windows and don't really hate macOS. All right, okay, all right, sustained. Let's see, for 7, I have. Let's see, Theo Taylor, cool, what was it called? Is it on the store? Have I missed something? What did Theo say? All right, let's see. Liam's here. Hey, Liam, how's it going? Liam, who does not have the default profile picture. It's actually something completely different. Let's see. Eric, you've thrown me out of my code. I wrote this if ID is equal to null and ID value is not equal to 0. ID is an int. Oh, let's have a look at this. If ID is equal to null and ID.value is not equal to ID is an int? Let's see. Liam says, well, gel of your time is split. It looks like a really nice place. It was really nice. Like if you guys could do it, I think we should do it. We should have we should all go out there like at the same week or something like that. And just like we'll all get Airbnbs and we'll all go to the same co-working space and we'll just like hang out at the beach. That would be fun. That was really, really nice. But it was like, the thing was like, I was genuinely like, I was so like, I had to make sure that I was working the whole day. I think I worked harder while I was over there than, when I'm at home, because I wanted to make sure that nobody had any doubt that no, I'm over here working. Like, and I was having meetings and like, oh yeah, let Eric get back to his cocktails. I'm like, I'm working today. You call me at 5:30. I'll be here at 5:30. But let's see. Theo says, it's not on the store. I'm actually built them to employ myself in local companies. Oh, this is the kiosk one, at least for myself. I think this is really smart, Theo. This is what, like, a lot of what I'm doing. It's like just doing stuff for clients. And when people say, hey, let me, show me on the store, it's like, it's not really like that. I think, there's the app store and being able to make out that, being able to make that passive income through there, which is great. But, if you could do that for companies too, the problem is that when you have to show other people that it's not really easy. I forgot. I go out to see my accountant. He always freaks out about taxes. Yeah, accountants are weird that way, aren't they? Let's see. It's an impossible condition. How could something be null and also has a value? I guess it can't. I don't know, but well, a string could be null or empty. Let's see. Rohan, hey, how's it going? Let's see. Rohan says, should I hire a freelancer to help me with my app? I'm skeptical about hiring a freelancer. What if the freelancer steals my app's code and later modifies and publishes it? I think a lot of people say, like a lot of times when I've met with clients, especially back into in the early days, people say, how do you know these, I work with developers overseas. I go, how do we know they're not just going to steal our code and release it as their own? And I'm like, well, because, they have like a reputation to do it. Like, so if you were going on to, like, Rohan, if you were to hire somebody on Upwork and they have a reputation already, like, not like the amount of times I was like, oh yeah, I had a different account, but somebody left me a bad review, so I created a new account. I had somebody tell me that once before. It's like, well, I'm not going to hire you. Like, that's what the Upwork is really good at, and a lot of these other freelancing sites is like people leave reviews. So like, if there's somebody who has social credibility and their future revenue depends on them delivering it, doing a good job for you, then they have a lot more at stake than somebody who's just brand new. Or you go through, like, I've done this where I've gone through companies and they don't really have any kind of social testimonials or anything like that, and so I'm gonna be like the first one, like, so I have to decide whether or not to do a video and tell everybody how bad this company is, which I've done before, or do I just let it go and just find somebody who's better. So I think, Rohan, if you're gonna hire a freelancer, try to get somebody who's got some sort of testimonials or something that that they've worked hard to establish that portfolio and to establish that account. Robert T, I'm in for an Overpass meetup. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? I would love to go meet up someplace. We could all go, we could all be working on a vacation meetup. Yes, a working vacation meetup. Love the Croatia videos. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. So like next month, I'm not quite sure if I'm doing this yet because I booked a flight. I booked a flight to Faro in Portugal for the second week of November, and I booked it like a while back when it was really cheap, and it's still like this thing where I'm flying out on a Monday and coming back on a Friday. So like I started thinking about it, I was like, really, all I'll do is go out there and just work and then just come straight back. So I might cancel that and just take the hit on whatever, cancellation fees or whatever, or I might do it. I'm still trying to decide whether not to do it. And I'm gonna go to Spain in December for a few days, and finally start to, now that everything started to open up a little bit, trying to get out and do some of this, traveling around a little bit. But my whole thing last week, to Croatia, was to see whether or not it would work. Like, am I okay without the big monitors and everything like that? It was great. Liam, X is equal to null. Yeah, that's usually when you got a backend, like you got null being saved to the database as a string. I've done that before. Like, you're going, okay, all right, it's not a null data type necessarily, but it's the word null, and I got to check that. And generic me, generic me says, hey Eric, what could make a low budget project attractive to you? Any particular features, tech, client type, etc.? A low budget. Oh, okay. You mean like something that's actually? It depends on what low budget is. It has to be something I think is going to be fun to work on. So I've done low budget projects, and I've done high budget projects. Like I've done. I don't want to say what they are because. Yeah, but there's some more I thought this would be cool. Like this, think about it. If it were you and you're like, I really want to do something in Flutter for a while. I'd love to do like a really good, sink my teeth into a good Flutter project. And then somebody comes along saying like, I got this thing, I don't have this great budget. And you're like, I think I'll do it in Flutter. Whatever. It depends on the more creative control you have over it, the better. But at the end of the day, you still have, the thing that adds to the project is that as excited as you are about it and as fun as it is, it's not your project. So you still have that where you have to make it exactly the way that they want it, which is great if they tell you up front exactly the way they want it and they don't change their mind ever. But that doesn't always happen. So sometimes you have to have a bit of allowance for that, because there's nothing worse than doing a low budget project and then it just keeps dragging on where they go, we want to change this thing or whatever. Now, if it's time and material, perfect. So, okay, yeah, cool. Like, we're going to charge extra for that or whatever, or it's going to add to the project time or whatever. But, a lot of that time is just, it can be difficult. And that's one of those things that when you get into a fixed price project and you're arguing about the amount of time that needs to go into something. I have one that, I have a project right now that it should have finished in July. And there's been a lot of testing on it. It's we found this one thing here on this one platform, and it's just like, it just keeps going on. So basically, once a week, I'm just like, okay, let me do this, let me have a look at this, try to figure out what's causing this issue, and then release that again. And it's like, this is something that's just dragged on. And at one point they said, can we have a weekly meeting to go over this so we can make sure we get this thing done? And I'm like, that's not in the budget. I am not going to have a weekly meeting because, it was basically, and again, this is not talking bad about them, it was just, but it was, they said they had a few issues, and I'm like, tell me what those issues are so I can fix them. And they go, can we just have a meeting, a weekly meeting where we go over the issues each week? And I'm like, no, you could write down the issues. Basically, like, this is what a bug list is. A bug list is what's happening in the application. What do you expect to be happening? Because, sometimes it's like, yeah, that's what it should be doing. Other times it's like, oh, okay, well, obviously there was a communication issue there. Now that I know, I'll do it, whatever. And what are the steps to reproduce that, right? It'd be like, and I've had lots of stuff. I said, oh, we've had a user who's had this app crash on them, or they've had this, it's not working for them. And I'll go, well, what are the steps to reproduce it? I don't know. Can you call them and ask them? I'm like, nah, not, first line support is you guys, I'm like third line support. I'm like, you got first line support, and then second line support would be like somebody a little bit more technical. First line support is a person who basically answers all questions. They're basically a living FAQ, like, with, existing issues and stuff like that. Second one is like, so when it comes to me, I should know exactly how to reproduce that thing. So that was, and a lot of times I'll get that, like a phone call saying, I was going to write all this down, but I thought it'd just easier to call you. And I'm like, yeah, but if you wrote it down and we have like a record of it, and you didn't just interrupt the flow of what I've been working on, and that can be very, very difficult sometimes. And that adds to projects. I'm just having a go about, like, just for no reason. Let's see. Theo says, I have some ideas for the Discord server. We'll send a message this week when things quiet down for me. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. The Discord server's been very quiet lately. I've thought about whether or not we should just, discontinue it. But I think it's nice that you guys all can get together and talk about stuff. And I'll go on there, and if I can answer a question, I'll definitely answer a question. But I'm not on there as much as I hoped I would be when we started it up. I mean, in all honesty, I hope you guys don't mind me saying that. But yeah, I'd love to be able to do more on the Discord server. Yes, a string can. This is what I added int as a nullable. Okay, well, oh yeah, if it's int question mark, yeah. Fistable reputation is key. Absolutely. Developers screw up. I screw up. Good developers, man. I never screw up. Fistable. I've actually worked with developers like this. My bugs don't. My bugs don't have code. My codes don't have bugs. Like, seriously, everybody's code has a bug in it, something you don't anticipate. And I go, nope, not mine. It's one of the different things about being a mobile app developer as opposed to being a server developer. A server developer is a very controlled environment. You know exactly what the operating system is on the server. You know how much disk space there is. You know how much memory. You know how everything else. Now, when it comes to the client-side stuff and actually the HTML and the JavaScript, that's totally different because you don't know the browser and all this kind of stuff or whatever, the environmental stuff. With mobile applications, we're kind of everything's kind of client-side for the most part. So the issue I've been having this week with the iOS 16 stuff, it's not just I can just fix it and it's fixed. I got to fix it and release it, and then we got to make sure we get everybody upgraded and everything like that. So there's this lag time to actually get this stuff out there. And that means in the meantime, we can get some bad reviews and all this kind of stuff, which is, but yes, everyone screws up. I'm moving to Montreal next month. Okay, where do you live now? It'd be hard to meet up with you guys. I don't even know where you live now. Let's see. Jalker says, hey, coming to Portugal, don't cancel it. Just ping me once you arrive. So I'm going to Faro. And it's going to be just Monday to Friday. So arriving Monday morning and then flying home on Friday night. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is when I actually work. Although maybe I might see if I can get a day off or something like that, because it does seem kind of silly just to go and not have a weekend in there. But yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Hit me up. Let's see. Dylan says, recently I wasted a lot of money on a designer that had a really great portfolio on Dribble. But his work for me looked amateurish. Anyway, he made me connect with a new designer that did an amazing job. It made me, don't, I would say doing those little test projects first. My big thing with the designer, we have this game called Agent X, which was an algebra game, and we had the developers were in India, and their design skills were not very good, but they were developers. I mean, I wasn't but they did have a designer. The company was we got a designer, and it was she was awful. And so I went on Upwork and I found somebody to do it, and they said I need somebody to do sprite animations. We have this guy who's running, and this guy spent 3 weeks. Was dude, where is this thing? And I got this, and it was just a silhouette of a guy running. And when I got it, it was the guy looked like it was just it was all clanky, it was just definitely not right. And it was and I kind of wish that I had done a smaller project first. I had this other guy do cartoon comic strip stuff, and he was really, really good. We had this little comic intro to it, and it was really good. But it's difficult. So Sandy, who just recently is stopped working with me, and not because she's been bad, she's been awesome. That was the hard thing about this last couple of weeks, was just thinking I gotta start cutting budgets a little bit and make sure that I get either I start taking on more client work, which I don't necessarily want to do, or I start cutting the expenses. And I decided to do the latter after the last several years of trying to keep everything going. And but when I found her back in 2013, it was even when she didn't have anything to do, I still make sure she's on the team, because I need when we do need something, I need somebody of her caliber. So Fistable says, I only consider a low budget project if I have already built a project and need a small tweaks to get it shipped. Yeah, that's true. Fun client projects don't exist. Beware people. Yeah, I suppose I said that's right, but sometimes I mean, that's not true. Sometimes you do have some people who are like really fun to work with. Lucrative personal projects don't exist. Beware, people. No, I've had some lucrative personal projects. Let's see. Enjoy. I love the name. It says, why do you prefer doing client work? Why not spend more time on your own projects like you did Spy Agent? Why not make something big again? I keep coming back to that. It's just the Spy one really worked, and then Google Play removed it, and then I kept, thinking maybe I should just work on that more. I think it was Enjoy, to be honest with you. Like, when that was working, I kind of thought I wanted to build something even bigger, like a bigger team and bigger whatever. And so the more people I hired, the more revenue I had to come in, and I mean more client stuff. So it was like this chicken and egg thing where I think, there was a few years there where I could have just not worked at all, and just worked on this one application. And rather than do that, I did, I decided, let's see if we can make this like a big agency type thing. And it just started to get to the bit where, if you read some of the business books like the E-Myth Revisited, they talk about having systems in place and having people with different roles and stuff like that. But like me, when it came to actually doing that and delegating everything, I was really bad at it. It was like, it's a bit like, there were times where I wished I didn't know how to code, because then I would not know how terrible some of the stuff that the developers who were working for me were doing, and basically just letting them go and then staying up all night trying to fix it. And some of the developers I worked with were really good. I mean, it wasn't all bad stuff. It was like some of the stuff was really good, and some stuff was just like, I had a project for a client that we were like 6 months behind on it. And it wasn't just because of the developer, but he was not very good. But it was also the client was not either. The developers of the client company were not so easy in terms of like producing documentation and giving the API details and everything like that. So I took over the project and think, okay, I will just get this thing done. I'll just, I'll work through the weekend, just get everything done. But then it was like, then I started to see how bad it was with the new requirements coming out all the time, whatever. And it just got this thing where it just went on and on and on, and it really put me off, new client work for quite a while. So I totally get your question there. And if somebody says they don't want to do client work, I would not argue with them, but it's that thing. It's a bit like, it's taking the time. Like I got somebody paying me for the next couple hours to work on something for them, or I could pay myself for the next few hours to work on something for myself. And it's like, one of them is guaranteed revenue and one of them isn't. One of them is a short-term goal, which is the client works a short-term, fills that need. Working on your own stuff is a longer-term thing, but it's just as important. So, was able to leave a full-time job at said Dylan. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. Fistable says client-facing apps. You never know which idiot will screw you up. Server apps. You never know which idiot developer will screw up the API. I'm living in Algeria right now. Oh wow, cool. Wow. I guess that's it for that's the last question. I mean, sometimes there's a little bit of a lag, so usually when I end the live stream, then a bunch of questions come in. So my apologies to everybody who's going to ask a question as soon as I say goodnight, but I hope you guys have a great week ahead. Thanks for joining the live stream. For those guys who gave the thumbs up, I really appreciate it. Thanks for those who've liked and subscribed and who stuck with me through all the ups and the downs. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great week ahead. That's it for today. I'll talk to you guys again next time.